Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your art and today I'm going to be showing you how to do this very easy floral for beginners. This is a gorgeous dark abstract, so that's where the flowers are put against a dark abstract. It's really gorgeous. It's really rich. It's one of those fun things to do, and I think when I show you how to do this flower method, you're going to be surprised at what you can achieve at home. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hey guys.
He's going to be tracking me with the cameras, making sure I stay on task mostly and making sure that we see your questions. If you have a question during a live show, go ahead and put that in all caps. Promise you're not yelling. The people with the wrenches, those are our moderators, will either help you answer those questions because they might know where the links are. They might already know where that information is, but some of your questions might even make it on the live show, which is kind of fun. So this is one of those great things. I hope you're having a good time. I hope you're really ready to paint today. Let's just jump on in. So I have here a gesso board that I'm going to be painting on. I'll open that up right now. It's 9 by 12. This particular piece, though, you could do on almost any size canvas. It's really easy to customize. And the other thing to realize is that whether you're using an artist panel like I am here today, or a canvas, or even paper for acrylic paint, they're all perfectly fine surfaces to paint on. I'm just demoing this today because I had it in the studio and I felt like it. That was the deep thinking behind that. Over here, I have the paint colors out today. I've got the Mars Black, Phthalo Green, Phthalo Blue, Diox Purple, Quinacridone Magenta, Cad Yellow Medium, Burnt Sienna, and Titanium White. I'm going to be demoing the Filberts, and the links to what those brushes are actually already in the description below, but I'm also going to show you how to do the stroke with a couple different brushes because it really doesn't have to be one thing. It's not always all one thing and not any other things in art. Generally, there's a lot of ways to get it done, and there's some base principles that you as a student might want to be mindful of. So don't feel like, oh, I don't have that exact color, or oh, I don't have that exact brush. I guess I can't do this project. Of course you can. This isn't about being perfect. This is about having a good time making something that's creatively satisfying. I'm going to sip my water. I recognize how ridiculously branded I am today.
Oh no, this is great. Everybody really loves this.
Testing things. I have to test them before they come into your life. So let's begin by the simplest part of this project that we get to do, which is just to paint the whole canvas black. I'm going to go ahead and put a wish in here. I'm going to wish for everyone to be safe, healthy, and with the people that they love. Put that in the universe. So that'll go nicely into the universe, put some good intentions out there. I'm going to dip a large brush. This is a number 26 Ruby Satin. It's a brush for acrylic paint. So what that means is it doesn't take in too much water. Brushes are really for different tasks. You know, there's brushes for oil painting, there's brushes for watercolor. Often, when you guys are out in the world purchasing products, though, you're going to notice that brushes will be listed for everything. It'll be like watercolor, acrylic, and oil. And what the manufacturers generally mean is that the brush won't explode on you.
Right.
Doesn't really mean that it's ideal for any of those mediums in any way. It just means that it won't utterly fail those mediums. So what you want for an acrylic brush is a brush that's stiff enough to move the heavy bodied paint, if you're doing heavy bodied like I am. You want it to have nice seated parts and be well made and still affordable. And I find personally that having some amount of synthetic filament in it is really helpful because like even my ones that I do with hog bristles, they still have synthetic filaments in them. So they don't over soften or over soak up water. I'm just giving you some little brush tips while we're painting in this whole canvas black with Mars Black. You can see I'll dip in the water, just the toe of the brush, come down and pull out the paint into the brush, and that gets it all into the belly. So I can paint a lot of paint onto my canvas in a nice application. So that's how I get that done. You can buy canvases, though, pre-black, or you could use black gesso. These things are all possible and decent solutions. To get the rich blackness on this fin, now I'm painting my fan. Sit over here, little fan. My fun fan. Now I'm going to dry this real fast and do 2 coats of black. I recommend, unless you bought a manufacturer canvas that's already treated black, that you do 2 coats so that this particular project has the rich finish that you need to do this, and to make sure that my brush doesn't dry with acrylic paint, because we never want to leave acrylic paint on the brush just sitting there, because then brush becomes stick.
Yes.
I'm going to brush this, I'm going to
Okay.
dry this, and John's going to say hi to you guys and maybe find an early question. I think we have a birthday wish to go out that I sent John in Skype.
Okay, well, I'll go check that out. So what I will say is, yes, today is brought to you by the Art Sherpa. She is totally enjoying her Sherpa branded swag. We've got a bunch of that for some upcoming events and things that are going on. So, yep, she's totally having fun and playing with all of her stuff. So thank you guys for noticing that. That was a lot of great. And in general, thanks for coming and hanging out. I was just saying today was brought to you by the Art Sherpa.
And all the Art Sherpa stuff. Did you find the birthday wish? I can run over my computer if you need me to.
I can pull it up. I was actually just sort of chatting with them.
I just want to make sure that I give that birthday shout out, because I saw that in chat before we were live, and I just thought, I'm going to shout that person out. Happy birthday today. Maybe it was in group.
I've got it over here. Hold on a second.
You do?
Maybe. Oh, it is Tara.
Hi, happy birthday, Tara. We don't officially do that, so don't hit us with birthday wishes, but sometimes if I see you guys in group or on Twitter or around places, having a birthday, I might shout you out. You never know what will happen. Can you see how the 2 coats give it a really deep, intense depth into this surface, and that's going to be real nice. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure that my brush strokes kind of are going the same way, just to create, again, another smooth visual surface. You could do vertically, you could do horizontal. You just want to make sure that to your eye, it's very matte black. If it wasn't such a pain to get, I had thought about getting Stuart Simple's The World's Blackest Paint to do this background in, but it was just going to mess with the camera too much, and it's a pain to get. You guys wouldn't be able to easily get it, so I vetoed the idea for this project.
Now, we had a bunch of questions. That
good. I need to sip some water. I'm a little parched today, my friends. Friend, guess who this is? Trying to steal this video now. It's watermarked.
I did that while you were away. I was having fun. I was like, today's
we
videos.
just mess with video thieves. They usually have to zoom in and crop the video, and now they have to adjust my voice so I speak really slowly or really quickly, which is funny either way. I'm almost that's cool.
There's a good question. Not much answer. Is while she's sipping. So show me the outside of your cup while you're sipping. So what happens if you let acrylic paint dry in your brush? There's some good answers to that, but I would start you by saying go to theartsherpa.com, to our video library, and type brushes in your search.
Yeah.
And I just put a link in into our chat here, but we've got a whole bunch of videos out there, a bunch of brush cleaning videos. There's
Don't throw it out. You can save it. And I have a video I did with the brush guys about that. You can absolutely save any brush.
Yeah, there's a bunch of videos on our website. I mean, brushes after brushes after brushes on how to clean, take care of, fix all these problems. So definitely go check that out.
Because we like to help you guys have happy brushes. I'm going to dry my canvas.
What? We always just chat with everybody. You could have done it.
Get another question.
Okay. See, this is better planning is what we need here. We're clearly just wanting to keep you here so we can brand ourselves and because you might not know who you're with, right? Because remember today's theme is brand ourselves. So I don't know. I'm trying to find out reasons why we didn't come up with a better plan. I'm saying maybe because we want to do more branding. I don't know. Because we didn't have our stuff together, I'm just keeping here. Oh wait, no, I turned your video's not on, your audio's not on. They couldn't hear you. There it goes.
It was a goofy lark that we leaned into. We were it just sort of happened weirdly accidentally, and then we were like, well, if we've done one, we might as well do it all.
That's right. We took everything out. Well, and there's still it, but anyway.
So you can tell when your surface is dry because especially with Mars Black, it will take on a very matte finish. Carbon black will be it will feel darker. Lamp black, those colors will feel darker. And though they have weirdly, depending on the company, different levels of pigmentation. But the matte black you get mostly with the Mars Black. Or you could get Stuart Simple's Blackest Black. Well, or if you're very, very famous, maybe you could get some Vanta Black.
And I would say that, pigment density is a big difference between companies and that's the pigment is ultimately the most expensive part of the paint that you're paying for.
That's really, you're paying for the engineering, performance, customer service, and pigment.
Right.
It's kind of what you're kind of paying. You in paint, you do kind of get what you pay for.
Yeah, there is a bunch to it, but I mean, like, if
You
you're,
do.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm not sponsored or anything here. I'm just like,
yeah.
I try to recommend brands to you that I know have good performance, they've had a history of good customer service, and they don't really make a ton of mistakes in formulation. So if you see it on the show, generally I've been messing with it a bit and I'm pretty happy with the performance.
Yeah, and most of these companies are pretty reasonable to talk to and work with. That's why you
So
see us here.
today, I am sporting a Black Pearl Filbert number 8. A filbert is a little different in than my cat's tongue. If you'll notice, the cat's tongue has a point to it because it's kind of a pointed filbert. And a traditional filbert is more rounded. You could do either, if you're using my cat's tongue today, my number 8's cat's tongue, what I would say is just watch to come back with the tip of the brush and smooth out any of the edges. It works. I've done it with both brushes, but today I am demoing this because there's just a lot more filberts out there in the world. Filbert. So I'm going to be showing you how to get these roses, the tricks of the brush strokes, and how things need to be placed. First thing that we're going to want to do, though, is get our deep, dark green background in, which almost doesn't show up on the reference, but is there. So I'm going to dip my brush in the water, drag off the extra, and I'm going to load it up with the green. And you can see I'm going to flip both sides, green, 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 green. And I'm going to get a little of my burnt sienna. The reason I don't pick it up with the white is that this can go real mint, and I don't really want it to be mint. Now, first, in the center here, I'm going to very loosely, you guys can see this, brush around. Just kind of see this little, almost a cross hatch, but very loose. It's right here in this part of the canvas. Let's just brush that back and forth. Right now we have kind of a little round shape. I'm going to dip in the water. I'm going to get a little bit more here. And just keep going. I don't want to get too big with this green center, right? And then as I come around, let me get a little more green, a smidge of my burnt sienna. I can come here, as I come to certain areas of this, I can start my leaf stroke, which is really interesting. If you take your filbert on its side, press down, pull, and curl, you get nice leaf shapes. So where this is kind of coming to the end, I can have it be loose, 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 maybe there a little bit, but I want to make sure that I have some defined leaves. So maybe I turn it here. And I'm going to, I can curve back this way. See how I press in and curve?
Yeah, those
Now,
are really dark.
they're really dark, and this is a nice time. Remember, you can practice any brush stroke before you touch your canvas. So don't feel like, oh, I've got to go in there and do that right the same way. You can practice it. But you press in, you touch first, press down, and you pull. And they're like painting little commas. A lot of this is just about painting little commas making comments all around the canvas. I want to take some leaves, you know, pretty far down this way, almost to the corner. And I'm going to leave it open because we have the dark foliage, which would be heavy in the center here. But the outer edges, the leaves would like peek out. And again, I understand that that can be kind of hard to see on camera because this is a dark on dark piece. Right? So we're always sort of dealing with that. Okay, so there we go. Isn't that nice?
It looks like a blue-green blob on black.
Well, it's
Is this
about to
performance
come
art?
to life. It looks like a blue-green blob on back. I know it's hard. It's a hard one to see. But now we're going to see it because we're going to load up again with clean green. You notice that I rinsed out vigorously, and I'm loading back up with the green. And I'm going to come here to the yellow, just to the outer edge, and load some. I might even get a smidge of white onto that. See how that load is? And I'm going to come here, and now I'm going to add some leaf highlights.
Oh my God! Now you can see something.
Yeah,
I
but
mean, like,
you
it
wouldn't
was-
want the whole piece to have this, because if the whole piece has this, then it's just too
Yeah,
much.
I can see what you mean. So you just want those subtle little bits to be hiding in the background.
Right. They're
And-
there.
but
The
just-
piece. Yeah.
Okay, I can see it now. So those were just there a little bit to like so that there is some bushes in the background.
Exactly. But we have these little leaf bits that we're going to, you know, pull in, and you can see how the commas now are working.
Yeah, now you can start to see it. now the rest of that stuff takes shape.
We don't want too many though. I got a little wet,
Yeah,
so I'm
no,
going to go
I
back
can
over
see it.
that.
I can see it.
But you want some so that, you can see what's happening in the canvas. And it doesn't take a lot of the yellow. I'm going to turn again to the side.
Which green is this you're using here?
This is the phthalo green and a little bit of cad. But I mean,
Okay.
guys, you could use lots of different greens and still get a good result. I would say the trick is, and I'm coming to the
Oh.
maximum density
Yeah,
of
I
green
see it.
leaves.
I see it
I
now,
really
yeah.
need to not go much past this.
Because
Yeah, so now when we put these beautiful dark flowers in there, they become the focus. They're bright colors, you're going to pull them forward. The richness of this canvas and the depth of the greens is going to push that foliage back, and it's going to feel luxurious and fabulous. This is one of those pieces that you can do on a really, really big canvas. You would just get a really, really big brush.
really big brush.
Yes, get a really, really, really big brush. And all these brushes, by the way, in life come in giant sizes, so you can actually do bigger pieces. This is a good time for me to dry the canvas and then get ready to do the next layer. I'm going to show you how fun these flowers are to put in.
Whoops, sorry about that. Hit the wrong button. So yeah, if you're using your air mover at home, make sure you use it on the lowest heat setting or just air so that it doesn't affect, so that you don't get shrinkage or color shift. Now, because we're using in darker colors, student grade paints will see more color shift in the darker colors. So you want to make sure you use low heat or no heat and just let them air dry, because it's really the air that moving across that causes the curing to happen. Heat actually causes some problems.
Now I'm
So-
gonna do a bonus to you and a bonus to me. Looking at the color shift in this, John was just talking about this darkening. Since it's dry and what's underneath won't get into my brush, I'm gonna go ahead and get some just pure phthalo, and up here add that bright, vibrant green. Can you see how
Oh.
I'm doing? And it's gonna really, against its green self background, hit another little layer pop. I haven't added any white or anything. I'm just adding this here, just making sure that these leaves, these dark green leaves, are peeking out. It's just going to be a very nice touch. And if you do this, you're going to get such a good result. You notice that I'm keeping those little leaves, those thoughts of those leaves kind of to this outer edge. I can bring them up here. Maybe we'll turn on the side here. We're just trying to catch some of those phthalo greens into all of this to pop against our colors coming out. And you can see layering that little bit of green is nice. You'll get a little bit of pop, a little bit of zhuzh if you need it.
Definitely. So, yeah, as I was saying, just use your air mover on the lowest heat setting. That way you don't get the color shift and stuff, and that will save your paintings when you're using those student grade products. Pro paints, you don't see that quite so much. So, yeah, thank you guys. Wow, lots of you guys that were here hanging out with us today. So very nice to see all of y'all. You see that we're kind of having a goofing off kind of day today. I'm not really sure.
What?
I said we're just kind of having a goofing off kind of day today.
Are we? Okay.
Seems
Well,
to be.
I like it.
I like it.
Now, I'm going to show you on a demo just real fast because there's some key things that you need to be aware of. I'll put this over here while this is having a little dry, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do here. How we're going to build this flower is about some direction. So I'll just load up a little of my quinacridone and a little of my Dox Purple, which is the main rose color, and we'll get some white into it. I'm going to show you the first line of petals that you're going to do. And you're going to see this on the canvas, but this is going to apply. You're going to press in and curve out. And the first line is going to curve. I just feel like if I explain this to you guys ahead of time, it's going to be a little bit easier. This way. Then you need to get another set that goes that way. So you come to this and then you press down, catching these that way. Once you have those, then you can come in to the center layering. See how we're doing? And get that layered thing. But try to keep in mind that your arrows are like this and like this. Okay? As we do it?
Yes. I think that helps.
I want to make sure that I don't have any wet green because it's going to gray my space. I'm going to put one wonderful little rose right here. So let's get a little of my quinacridone loaded up on there and a little of my diox. I want it a little closer to the quinacridone. I want this to be kind of a very rich purple. I'm going to get my white loosely mixed into there. You can see how it's just loaded on the brush, loosely mixed. We're going to start here. Remember your arrow. I'm going to hold and press and make a petal. Then it comes and tucks and makes another little petal. I can always get more color if I want it. Making little petals. As they come around the side, sometimes I like to open them up. Get a little more red, get a little white here. And come right here. Maybe we tuck this one over its little friend. See how we're doing? Let's press a bigger one right here. And you can go back over them and touch them up. You're not really stuck if you don't like something you have. So those little arrows have happened. We're making this little crown. I've got a nice little space between here. Now, as you come in on flowers, you're going to have whiter petals and darker petals. And so one thing that I can do is I can come get a little more diox on here and my quinacridone, but not add white to it. And I can come in and do a second little row, pressing in. Look at those rich ones. And they can have some little friends. Curving up, curve, curve. That's pretty spectacular. I can come and get a little white for this far petal, and I can tuck its little self in here. Back into my dark purple. Here I go, center of my flower. So I'm doing pretty good, and now I've got to have the petals that are curved up. So I'm going to get a little more red in here, and maybe a nice mix of my white, so what's happening here will show. And I'm going to curve. Oh, that was a lot of white. That's okay. Curve that in. And I'll curve around here. I want to curve this a bit. Curve that there. I'm going to come here and I'm going to press in the similar way. I'm curving. There we go. We've got that in there. So now we have the center of the bud. I'm going to rinse out because my mix is getting unpredictable on me. And anywhere that I want to come back and make an adjustment, I'm going to load up with just my quinacridone. And watch, I'll come right here. I'm going to press in, get a nice accurate load. I'll press in. And I'll just make sure that this petal and this petal have some sort of connection. Can you see how I'm coming around and bringing that connection? Because this is a bowl-shaped flower. Now, one little trick that you're going to find interesting is I'm going to come underneath here and I'm going to add this little touch. See how I'm doing this little touch of purple? Pull this out. Pull that out all the way there. This is the shadow of this petal. It's a fun little shadow and you want it. I'm coming underneath these very delicately and I'm just pressing that out. Can you see how that's pressed out? Now I can get a little quinacridone on here. Get a smidge of the white just on one side. And let's try to pull out a nice little folded out petal. So at first I take these 3 strokes and I put them next to each other, but I'm going to come on the edge. And I'm going to take the edge of my brush. Can you guys see how I'm doing? And then I'm going to pull this back. Look, I'm feathering back. That's a pretty nice pulled out petal. Now, a touch that I can add, if I go into my white and my red, I can tuck a little wild petal that kind of does its own little thing right there. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to press and pull. Again, coming along this edge with the edge of my brush. Maybe tuck a little wild friend right there. But you can see the dark is there. We'll come right here maybe and pull some of this in for this part of the petal. Now we've gotten these very complicated petals coming out, and I'm going to just keep feathering that in. I can come and get some white and pink and work the outside edge of this, highlighting it. Look how we're doing. If I need to move this, trick is to flip it upside down. I'll let the camera continue to find me. See how this is like highlighting the edge of that, creating that highlight in there? Take the extra time to rinse out while you're here. Get a little of your purple and your quinacridone together and come back and shade that shadow out that petals. Look at how that does. So now we have these very complicated flowers, right? But that we've done so delicately and so simply. I'll rinse out a bit. I need to make it a little friend in a similar color space. So I'm going to get some of the red purple that's already here on my palette on. And I'm going to get some white, a lot more white. There we go. And let's make a little fellow. So press, pull. There we go, maybe a little thin stroke there. I'm going to bring this around because it's more of a bulb. See how I'm bringing that stroke around and come around? There we go. I'm going to wipe off without rinsing my brush. I'm going to get some of my purple and red on here. Bring in a couple little dark petals that are in the center. And let's come right here and bring it. See, now we have a little tiny bulb. Just almost starting to open. Rinse, 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 rinse. For the next one, I'm going to impose on John to get me a fresh water. And I'm going to suggest before you paint your white rose that you get fresh water because you're going to want that water to be as clean as possible so that the color of the white is what it needs to be.
Okay.
Can I impose you?
Absolutely.
I meant to bring out 3, but then I brought 2. And I really appreciate this. I hope you guys are liking this explanation of how they're constructed.
No. Talk about how like back in the hundreds, how like Michelangelo, and there's a whole movement of dark flower scenes done like this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people just know that.
Yeah, no, this is I tend to do this as an artist. I tend to be low key in my painting, which means I have a lot of dark tones and then I have these focal highlights. If you were to look at my palette, you'd be like dark, 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 dark values. They would be all in the, if you looked at a grayscale between 1 and 10, 1 being white and 10 being black, that I would be a lot of 1s and 4s and 5s. I would be very dark, and then I would have a little bit of highlight. You don't see that a lot online and necessarily in Instagram and places because what shows well on camera are things that are very evenly strung across the grayscale with a high contrast and a little bit flattened in the way that you think of illustration or cartooning, because if you do that, it looks amazing on film. But to me, what looks amazing to the eye is a very dramatic painting that has a lot of subtlety in this deep range and then these pops of focus because it just grabs you by the heart. Tougher to see on camera, really satisfying to paint in life, if that makes sense.
And if you're interested in the historic aspect of some of this, it's a lot of the Baroque floral scenes were very much in this style.
Yeah, and even if you look at like even Dutch still lives, just anything, this kind of lighting, and it could be because lighting was problematic. It could be because you had to really work in limited spaces because there was a lot of tonal studies. But however it all came to be in that super magical soup of it, it just made a lot of really awesome, beautiful. I mean, think about it, where you've got the beautiful dark floral and just a little bit of the pewter is lit and just a few bits of what's on the table is lit and the fabulous folds of the fabric. It's just so, ouch, so much fun. Okay.
Contain that passion for the flowers.
I flipped it upside down.
You flipped the...
I'm going to get just the smallest amount of pink on my brush. Like I had a little too much water. Smallest amount of pink, right? So just a little bit. And I'm going to get some white. I want these tipped petals to just have a smidge of pink, but not a lot because this particular one is mostly white. I'm going to flip my reference the direction I'm painting so I don't have some sort of crazed dyslexic moment. And I'm going to just write down here in this nice triangular arrangement, making sure I have room. I'm going to pop a petal. And let's give its little friend. We're going around. Press that one a little bit harder. I like to get them a little bit bigger as they come closer to me. Load back up again. Isn't that fun? I really love this. Now I can even, at this stage, kind of make one that comes out. Look at that. Let's be playful here. You can come out. Fun stuff. We can make a next little row in there. It could have a little more pink or less pink. You'd want to go a different value so you can see the layering of it. And that's all I'm going to want with the pink. Now rinse, 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 rinse out vigorously. By the way, we are wrapping up faster than you guys know. I'm going to load up my brush with white. I'm loading up with white. So my brush has a nice amount of white in it before I even go to get the yellow. Cadmium yellow is a very powerful color. But I want just a tip. See, that's almost a little much. Oops. Hansa probably wouldn't give you as, like, if you were using a Hansa yellow or an Azo yellow, you probably wouldn't have as much of a strong yellow in there. All right. So let's come in and do the center. You can see it picks up a little bit of what's around it. I'm going to come right here and layer those in. Let's do a couple strokes right here. There's the center, right? We've got a nice center. I don't mind if now I've got some yellow and pink and white. That's always kind of fun. And I'm going to do some nice big petals. This one's going to be biggest right there. And I pull that over. Let's even almost kind of pull that in and give it another stroke. There we go. And then I'm going to move this a little bit so I have an easier time for the next one. And just make sure that I'm following along there. So we have those there. And what we do need, though, is some darkness down in these petals to help them showcase, right? So to get that, I'm going to get a little more of my yellow into this mix. You could probably also do pink, but I really like the yellow. And I'm going to make sure that there's a bit of this yellow sort of dramatically coming out the petals. See how we're doing? It's that yellow shadow. You can even come in and, there we go, pop a couple right there. But we're just making sure that there's this value of yellow. Rinsing vigorously. And you can always come in, because you've not done pure white, you can always come in with your pure white and take the edge of the petal and add that white to it to help it be shaded out. See how we're doing? Sometimes I'll even come in and add a little bit of that throughout the flower. So now we have this gorgeous little, making sure this little petal looks good and he's balanced. And he looks pretty balanced. Yep, we got a nice bright, really focal flower there. I'm going to rinse out vigorously. And the next one I'm going to do is like a columbine, but it's a bit about layering. So you're definitely going to want to layer. And I'm going to use like dark values over light values. Let's talk about that a little bit before we do it. Hopefully you guys are okay talking about it a little bit before we do. Because if you understand the little shapes that you're going for. Now, the columbine that we're doing is going to have a bit of a skirt feeling. Right? So think of a kind of a skirt shape. The petals are going to be skirted, and then there's going to be one set of dark petals, and then we're going to be layering with a smaller skirt of lighter petals. We're trying to pull these strokes to a point in the back where we're going to enjoy making little fun little strokes to do our little stems. And we're going to need 3 of these for balance. So there'll be a small one and 2 larger ones in focus. You guys doing good?
Yes.
Let me capture myself.
And I'll take this time to remind you, today was brought to you by the Art Sherpa. We never plug ourselves. Not enough. We should
Like,
so
comment,
like,
follow,
comment, subscribe.
For goodness sake, watch the videos, share it, do all the things.
Go to our website.
Go to
check
our
it
website,
out.
do the stuff. Tell all your friends that they can paint too.
We got like over 700 free videos about art and like painting training. And if you go to our website, there's like notifications that you can get for free. Those are SMS notifications when we go live. You can get free newsletters. We've got new projects that are coming on our
You're on a
webpage.
plug roll.
Gosh, we have an ATC club. We got all this stuff. That's
We
what we
got
do.
stuff.
We do free
What
art.
it says, we have fun stuff for you, and it's fun to find out about
If
it.
you
It's
like art, this is where you
mostly,
come.
predominantly all free. All right.
Oh.
Breathing in deeply, breathing out. John can take a question while I'm centering myself for this flower. You should do the same if you're at home. Take a deep breath.
Okay, that chalk, they didn't see it very good.
Okay.
So we'll do that one more time.
So what I'm going to say is,
It's
the
really
bigger
light.
petals are going to be a skirt shape.
That's
And
better.
then we're going to be doing strokes that come in on a layer. Then we're going to be making little those little protector leaves and this
Okay.
little stem strokes.
That-
That's
okay.
what's happening next. So have that little shape in your mind. We're going to build it sequentially, calmly and slowly, in the same way we built everything else. I'm going to keep using this number 8 because it's been working out really well. And I'm going to start with loading up my phthalo blue. Boom, 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 on both sides. I will catch a smidge of my Doc's purple into it, and just the smallest, and you've got to be real careful here, bit of white. You want enough so that it will show, but you need to leave room to lighten it up. Now I'm going to say that there's some room here for one, so I'm going to come right here. I'm going to press in, and I'm going to pull. I'm making this little skirt shape. Pulling that in. Could go darker, so I'm going to get some darker value. I'm going to remember it's like a bell. And as I come along here, I can always make that edge look better, right? So I'm just making sure that this has got that. Again, I'm going to go darker. I'm going to press this in. And let's come out here. We've got to get the bell going this way, right? So bell. And once I have that, I will turn my piece around so I can think about this edge. So let's find this little edge and shade this in. Go ahead and take some deep values and you can shade these out. Look at that, how we're taking just the Doc's purple and feathering that into that blue. Is that not gorgeous? Having so much fun with this. So there's that deep dark color that's there. Now, I don't want too much of what's underneath picking up into the next value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a lot of purple on my brush and some blue and maybe just a smidge of the white, but not too much. And we're going to come down here. We're going to find another little spot that there's room to make another fairly big bell. So I've pressed those little strokes in and pulling them in. Let's take this little set of strokes out a bit to give it the skirt feeling, right? We're going to be bringing it back into the point, so I can come back here. And let's turn it so that we can do the edge. Now on this, because it's so dark, right? It's quite dark. It's not going to be hard for us to find those edges and pull those in. I don't probably need to darken the interior, so I'm going to get the smallest amount of white into just the smallest. I've got to be so careful into my purple. And I'll go ahead and make sure that this outer edge of these petals, while still dark, has a bit of shape and highlight, right? And you got to be super, super careful. Like I'm going to wipe off and make sure it's super faded. If you get it too light, you can always come back with just your pure purple and work that out. See how we're doing?
Oh, yeah.
So you've got an easy time here. You can enjoy that. You're okay. Now, its little friend I'm going to do when I have my smaller brush out. You could probably get away with doing all of these with one brush. This would probably do all of it. I do have a smaller brush I pulled aside for this, which is a number 2 filbert, which is now stuck to the glue on my palette, but it's about this size. So you can see there's quite a difference in size between these two.
Oh, wait, put that back up there. It was hidden. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Quite a bit of difference in size between those two brushes. All right, so challenge. Do you want me to try to do it all with the big brush? Because I can.
No, whatever you want to do.
Okay, I'll take it down to a smaller brush. All right. I take this down to just my blue. Just the smidgiest smidge of the white into it. And it's going to be the same thing as what I did with these guys, but it's going to be much smaller. And you can see with the smaller brush, I have an easier time making the smaller flower. Just pressing and pulling this in, finding this little edge. See how we're doing? Just having a good time. Get just a little bit of that there and make sure that there's... I just wiped off my paint. There's a lot of white on that. I don't necessarily want that much white, so what you see me doing here is just sort of blending that out, right? If I need to come back with some blue, I will. Just make sure that that's dark, but that there's this delicate little petal value that I'm playing with there. Alrighty. Now let's do the next layer on this. I'll get my big boy again, because I can. And these colors will be lighter. So I'm going to get, I think that first one was more blue. I had a little purple in it, but it was more blue. And I'm going to get some more white into it. So now it's noticeably a lot lighter. And I'm going to be doing these. Let's press this one down and pull that one in.
Oh my gosh, my buttons just all went crazy. I just missed all of that.
Okay, well, I'm going to keep going.
I'm sorry, I just missed that, guys. It was complete camera button failures. Like they just...
Now right here, I'm going to make sure that this is a nice central piece. So I'm going to tip that out. And you can even come and get another little layer. I'll get a little more white. And you can talk about a few more petals right there. Now this one is much more purple. So I'm rinsing. Much more purple. So I'm going to get a little bit of my white even on there. And then get my purple. It's got its little purple values. And let's come here and talk about this. So we'll have one little one that maybe sticks out there. And if I need to, I'll turn my canvas, right? I can always turn my canvas. I'm still leaving the little peak. I can grab a little of my blue and white and maybe even tip a little bit of this with that. Look at that. Rinsing vigorously. I will get a little of my white and blue on this brush, just white and blue. Phthalo, so pretty. But I do want it to still be, I want it to show up against the value.
Can I interject there? Something I've noticed. You're not mixing the color very much.
No, it's all loosely mixed.
And that is a really kind of important thing, because like as like when I tried painting, I have to work really hard to get that painterly look because I tend to overmix the paint.
So when you're trying to do that, you'll know you have it. You can always test on white, and I'll do it with the bigger brush.
Okay, sorry.
When you're loosely mixed, you're going to grab a little bit of white and a little bit of blue. And what you don't see me doing is this.
Right.
If I do this, then I'm going to get a very uniform, smooth blue paint. But, let me wipe this out. If I grab a little white like this, and I grab a little blue, and I don't mix them too loosely.
Oh, wait, before you put that on. There you go.
See that right there?
Yeah.
How it's marbled?
And then you smear big chunks of the paint and leave it right on.
Yeah. So if I came and got the white, that lets me layer. I could go back into my dark blue.
And
loosely mixed, loosely applied. Let me show you something else too. Don't be like, oh, I've got to have a filbert now. You know, you can do this with the cat's tongue. You can do this with a square brush. Look, I'm going to just grab a regular square brush. I'm going to load it up with just any color. Same stroke on the corner. It might be a little bit sharper and less round, but you get the same thing. You don't get less of a stroke. See? You're not trapped. You're not stuck. You can always practice an effect.
Now, depending upon the brand and quality, you're going to need to practice how much water to add to your brush
Yeah.
to get it to flow the way that Cinnamon's does.
I wish there was just a uniform I could say it's 2 drops of water to everybody's paint. What I can say generally to get golden to flow, I need 2 to 3 drops of water intermixed into my brush stroke to get it to really flow. I've had other, like if I'm using Liquitex Basics, man, I try to never add water to that stuff. It just seems to cause it just so much trouble.
Craft paint too, right?
Craft paint, you wouldn't want to really add water because it's already very fluid, isn't it? It doesn't
Right.
really hold its body, so you can just brush stroke craft paint right out. You probably don't need to do any of the water mixing other than rinsing out. So all acrylics are intermixable, but sometimes they have very different properties in relationship to the body, how stiff they are, how much they hold a brush stroke, whether they're self-leveling or they're really heavy bodied, which is what we've got here, because you can see it kind of holds. It carves out. If I let this dry, it looks exactly like this later, but it's dry. It doesn't even really shrink down. Good quality paint won't shrink down. If I do Liquitex Basics heavy body, it's going to shrink down and flatten out. So to me, that's more like a medium body. So what you're looking for in a heavy body paint is if you walked away from your palette, it should look pretty much the same when you come back, but not shiny. That's all the changes you should have. All right, let's get our stems, and the stems are real fun and easy. I'm going to dip my brush, the number 2, in water, and I'm going to go ahead and get some of my yellow on here. And you're like, yellow, but it looks like ochre. It kind of a little bit does, but actually what this is a mix of yellow and purple. Get my white into this. And there you can see the color, can't you? Loosely mixed. First thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here on my number 2. I like to rest my hand, and I'm going to just use the curve of my wrist to be able to do a nice fine line. There's a nice fine line. A little more yellow, a little more white. I'm going to make a little stamen. And so that actually, I'm going to press hard on the stroke and then release. So I press hard here, and then as I come out, I release the stroke, and that's how I get the point. And that does help to have a little water flow on the brush. You do want some flow. I'm getting some white, so it looks quite lovely. I'm going to press hard and just pull this out here. I need to make it thicker and like fine line that out. I can. You can get a little more purple if you want it to be browner. And I can even say, hey, there's a couple of these little stamens that are right there, and you can hide one back there. So it's not hard to get those, okay? If you're feeling really nervous about that particular mix of paint, you can always just like go, no, you know what, that's cool, Sherpa, but I'm going to do some ochre. I will not be offended in any way. So I'm going to come right over the top of this one.
Now,
getting my little paint and my yellow.
if you're at home and you have purchased one set of paints and may decide that you're wanting to evolve on to another set of paints,
I understand that. I do that all the time.
is it not a good idea to just like use that paint up, just burn through it, practice, then get on to some other paint?
Here's the thing, guys. You're never going to be hurt by practice, right?
Yep.
The paint doesn't go bad unless you like get it all exposed to air. I mean, it's supposed to last like officially 8 or 9 years, but honestly, if it's sealed, it goes a really long time if it's quality. Use it up. Change colors out as you use them, because that actually lets you know. Everyone's always like, what do I upgrade first? What you run out of first.
Yeah.
Which is usually white. You upgrade what you run out of. Upgrade those. Look for coupons. Buy half off. Don't pay list. Don't pay list.
Yeah. And
don't pay list. I'm getting a little more yellow on here, and I'm going to do this little guy's last little bits. I'm going to just barely look. I'm just touching these little brush strokes here. Got a little blue, but I don't care. And he doesn't have any little stem coming back, and that's it. I'm going to sign now.
That's great. That turned out so nice.
So this is a detail number 0. I'm going to go ahead and get a little of, I think the stem paint is what I'm going to go for in my signage, and I'm going to do it real close to the floral.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. I like to think about how I'm signing my paintings and make sure that they don't disrupt the composition of the work. That's all I'm thinking about. If I feel they're disruptive, then I might change how I sign it. But I just try to be aware that the signature is part of the composition and not put some ugly mark on there that undermines all the work I did. Like that big art Sherpa across my face. Okay. So hopefully you guys are like, oh my gosh, this is the foundation. This is the class I'd love you to do before we do those winter roses. I think if you can get this and practice this a bunch before the 27th, you are going to be so ready for that. The other thing to practice before the 27th is your wet into wet blending with a big brush. And we're going to be using like a big honking round bristle brush. Those materials are all listed there. I'm just answering this because this actually was designed to lead into that to help you guys be a little more successful on that painting.
Everybody's loved this. This has been wonderful. Great, great show. A huge crowd. Everybody's been loving this, Cinnamon. You did wonderful.
I cannot wait to see your paintings. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And I'm going to see you with the easel really soon. Bye-bye.